Hello and welcome back to Dreamhack Summer 2011. It is time for Bomber versus Mana. Mana was a big crowd favorite at last year's Dreamhack, given that almost reverse comeback against Nama. But now he's up against a incredible challenge, Saint Bomber.
Saint Bomber, and it is going to be more than a challenge. This is going to be hard for Mana. Second place from Dreamhack Winter when we were here last in Sweden together. But Bomber, absolutely insane. Just looking at records now, 78% win rate versus Protoss in Korea. Like
ridiculously hard to do. And Bomber's done it with these timings that seem to not really work for most people. I mean, it's the timings that people tried to do, but the Sentry Force Fields showed too much strength against the early aggression, but Bomber manages to control his unit so well, as we've seen in the series against Happy, and that has allowed him a lot of key timing attacks and a lot of key wins. Now, keep in mind, Mana almost ended with a draw. In Game 3 against X-Lord, neither player had any mining bases, so Mana has just finished a 1 hour and 20-minute best of 3. Coming into this round.
It's pretty tiring. That's pretty tiring. And it was crazy. I mean, I was reading it and people were like, oh my god, it's insane. It's going on for so long. And now he had a 5-minute break. Well, you can't even call it a 5-minute break. It's like a bathroom break. It doesn't count as a break.
I know.
Like we had a lot of that yesterday.
All right, time to play again. But if there's any player who can do it, it is going to be Mana. We've seen incredible resolve and calm from him at last year's finals. It is the group stages, but again, as we have said before, an insurmountable obstacle? Perhaps not. Bomber has shown a little bit of vulnerability against Happy, but right now Bomber is one of the contenders to go into the group. We have the confirmation from Mana, and while we're waiting for Bomber, I want to just note there's some birthday announcements we get to make.
Got a couple today.
Guess whose birthday it is? Do you know one?
I do know one.
Please name it.
Liquid Hey Pro.
That's right, Liquid Hey Pro, who's 2-0 in his group.
It's like everybody's looking back. It's like,
yeah, I was pointing to the camera, and everyone in the crowd thought that I was pointing to Hey Pro, and everyone's like... But no, that's right, Hey Pro, and of course, we did have OGS MC's birthday. It was 2 days ago. OGS MC, I believe now, is either 20 or 21.
I don't know exactly.
But we have the biggest birthday announcement of all.
Who's that?
Today, June 19th, happy birthday to my mom! Woo! Who birthed me and my brother and gave casting to the whole world.
Gave casting the casting family.
That is right. If it weren't for her, many of you, well, you'd probably be watching other people's cast. Probably watch Husky or Total Biscuit. But still, huge happy birthday to my mom, who's also turning 21.
Really?
I'm not saying her age. I'm not cool with that. But yes, happy birthday, Mama. And it looks like we're just waiting on Bomber to give the final confirmation. And Bomber may have just stepped away.
I know, he was like telling us that he's ready before. Apparently he is ready, he said, but it's kind of interesting.
All right, it looks like
good luck.
Players, it's the good luck, it's the have fun. It's going to be on Zell Naga Caverns. We are going into ST Bomber versus Mouse Sports Mana. It is the third match of the day, and I am pumped. Give us some predictions, Diapollo.
I'm going to put this in favor of Bomber. I mean, he all-killed OGS, including MC in that, and if he can beat MC, then Mana's going to be in for some trouble. Hopefully, he can change that around and be the first person to beat a Korean at this event.
In the bottom left, we have the Red Terran, the man who managed to defeat Happy 2-0 in incredible play. We have Star Tails Bomber. And his opponent in the top right, the man who many wanted to take a win in last year's Winter Dreamhack, the Protoss hero, Mouse Sports, Mana! A lot of fans of Mana given his recent performance.
And Mana's been around for a long time. He's been competing in a lot of tournaments, but he's never won anything yet, unfortunately. He's had a lot of seconds and thirds, most notable the Dreamhack Winter second. He was third in the Home Story Cup, third in the Shoutcraft Invitational that was last weekend. And he hasn't really had a first place. Could this be the tournament for him? Going 2-1 versus X-Lord, which was a great result for him. But can he go up against Bomber and take the win?
We do see that barracks going down right now for Bomber. No gas yet. Bomber has used a huge variety of openings in this matchup. Fast Factory, Fast Banshee, and the good old Fast Marine Marauder Pressure. What will he be opening with? Looks like we don't have any gas yet. Could be going for an early expand, but we've seen some hyper unusual gas timings from Bomber before.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see if he does go for that fast expand or weird gas timing. The thing is with the fast expand, because of the way the natural is located, it's quite hard to defend with a couple of bunkers. If we compare it to a map like the Shattered Temple, it's very easy just to place even just one bunker to go ahead and harass from there. But we'll have to see what Mana can do. And in the Mana's base, we have the gas, and we're going to see the cybernetics come up just now. And is he going to start saving Chrono Boost after this? We'll have to know what he does with that next one. And it looks like we're not going to be... I doubt we'll see any proxy barracks or something from Bomber, even though that is a kind of a viable build in this matchup.
We do see second gas going down now for Mana. You know what? The single gas openings, those used to be the paramount openings in this matchup. The faster expands, the faster pressure, but players now doing that gas style. So Mana now has a huge number of options. Could go for the fast expo or the 2 gateway pressure or even some sort of crazy void ray opening. Or will Mana do what he did last year? Ultra safe, 2 gateway, fast robo.
So we have a Stalker. He did skip this out to get that second gas out fast enough. We still have a probe down on the mineral line of Bomber. And we'll have to see, does Bomber go for a double gas now, or will he add on another couple of barracks? It's going to be the decisions he needs to make. He has gone in there and has scouted that there's just one gate so far. He did see that the double gas Chrono Boost was on the Stalker, so he most likely go for the double barracks. He might even need to get up a bunker on that ramp to kind of protect himself against this Stalker, but he might have enough with these 4 Marines to deal with that.
So I'd just like to give a special shout out to all the people who came out here today, because not only are they up bright and early to watch StarCraft action, but also it has been raining non-stop. And because this tent is outdoors, the entire outside looks like a marshland. You could tap the outdoors for 1 black mana, Diapollo. Ho! Magic the Gathering references. I hope someone in the stream caught the reference.
And looking at Mana's base now, he has just gone for 2 gate, and it looks like he might just be doing some kind of safe sentry expand here. He does. Oh, actually, no, he's got 1 probe in, building a pylon down here. We'll have to see how he's going to use this to be aggressive versus this Bomber. On the other hand, has 3 barracks now, double Vespian geysers, and I doubt he'll move down until he knows he's secure. If we look at his vision, he doesn't really know exactly what Mana is doing, so he'll most likely play safe from here. He is getting a factory as well, and Mana just going to go ahead and actually just expand from here and keep this pylon down here for later stages of the game.
Now, important to note, we saw Sase do miracles with 3 gates Sentry Stalker at the front of his opponent's base. We may very well see a similar style from Mana. Could completely contain his opponent right now, continuing to morph in a lot of sentries. Will Mana go for the faster robo, get the Colossus tech up, or will he attempt to contain? Still very smartly leaving that 1 probe outside the front. Knows that sooner or later they will have to move down. There's the pretty late stim from Bomber, but overall playing quite safely, going for the faster starport.
Yeah, and Bomber's playing so safe right now. You know, adding on this bunker and walling off basically. And he hasn't actually started an engineering bay. He does have double orbital command, if any form of DTs that could have been possible in his mindset. We'll use scans. How much energy does he have saved up? He's got enough saved up as well. But now we're actually going to see a bit of pressure maybe from Mana as he moves down this bottom right-hand side of the map. And he might just try to catch Bomber out of position as he moves down to try and gain this natural expansion.
Looks like he's starting to put a little pressure on. If you are watching this match, please tweet about it, promote it on your Facebook, everywhere you possibly can. Let people know about the matches that are going on. We're trying to break 70,000 viewers today, almost hit 60K yesterday. It's tense action heating on up. Mana went for a brief poke, took a little bit of damage, but pulled right on back again. No real loss. Now throwing down a robotics facility. We also have the assimilator going up for Mana.
Yeah, he's, even though he's got a lot of gas at the moment, he's going to need a lot more gas very shortly. When he adds on that robotics bay, he's going to need to get that thermal lance and start to chrono boost that Colossus out to kind of fight against this very marine-heavy army at the moment. 2 medivacs are about to pop out, though. So, you know, unlike when we saw Sase play yesterday, Bomber, if he was playing against some kind of container like that, can easily go ahead and start harassing with these medivacs. And here we are seeing that.
God. That is hard to do, to prevent a single unit from slipping out, but Mana does it. Patrolling now at the north, knowing that an elevator play is likely. There's Bomber going for the elevator. And it looks like Mana will end up losing these 2 units, throwing down a final force field. He will try to make the retreat. A little bit of stim expended, trying to pick off the sentry. Zealot goes down as well, and now Mana will be in defense mode.
Bomber's actually gonna have to invest in combat shields very shortly. That is a key upgrade that he hasn't quite got yet. He's moving down, gonna get the Vespene guys ASAP. And no engineering bay yet from Bomber, which is kind of surprising. You see a lot of Terran players are usually getting it a lot earlier than this, trying to get those +1 upgrades and +1 weapons and armor. And now it looks like Bomber might be coming out to pressure a little bit. And he has quite a beastly army, really, especially with these 3 medivacs.
Will he see the army Mana's cutting left? And he does manage to get a good spot on it. The 3 medivacs moving in. How is he going to exploit this terrain? We have a couple stalkers in the main. Another observer. Mana playing very, very safe, very cautiously. Here come the medivacs. He sees that they're loaded up. Will he be able to pick them off in time? Nice response by Mana. Will he split his units properly? This is going to be absolutely key. Throws down some force fields, but Bomber with the beautiful timing on the aggression. Some great maneuvering in by Bomber. Has a huge number of units still. The force field's going down from Mana. Needs to throw down some more perfect spots. Manages to isolate some of these Marines. Morphing in more Zealots. And I think Mana might do the impossible and hold off this beautiful timing push. But those Marauders, there are still 6 on the field. The Colossus is going to arrive in time. The Zealots arrive. Target firing the Colossus. Will it go down? It does!
Wow, and Bomber picks up and leaves. Great harassment there by Bomber. And he's even going back down to engage these Stalkers. Without Zealots, they're going to be very, very weak against these Marauders. And
will he be able to pick it off in time? Go into the high ground. Bomber loves bringing the noise. Non-stop attacking. Tons of Zealots out right now for Mana.
And that play was awesome by Bomber. Really maximizing the damage of those units then. And it was a great timing attack, like you said, just before that Colossus came out. Mana had invested in the robotics facility, in the robotics bay, in the thermal lance, in that Colossus. A lot of money not in units. And Bomber went ahead and exploited that very well. And now has fallen back, has the engineering bay just about to finish. Has added on 2 more barracks down at that natural and is still consistently, well, actually switching over to Vikings now in anticipation for these Colossus, and now Mana is, as you can see on the map, trying to take that gold expo or killing the rocks to begin with.
Interestingly, we see no more Colossus production from Mana there. Finally, a second one goes down, but it looks like Mana might be stepping away from the Colossus focus play, getting the forges, might be going gateway emphasis. We see that Bomber is having a great response already established, getting those Vikings up early, and interestingly, 2 barracks with reactor. It looks like Bomber really favoring the high damage per second of those Marines. Can kill things off very quickly. We see there Medivacs picking off the pylon. Can Mana pick them off on an incoming trajectory?
And at the moment, Bomber's quite in the dark. He needs to try to regain these Zelnaka towers so he can see where Mass Mana's units are. And he is going to move out and try to kill these destructible rocks. And got double forge actually with +1, 1 beam research, 1 attack, and 1 armor at the same time.
And I mean, it's remarkable to note that suddenly Bomber has sprinted 20 full food ahead of his opponent. There's stalkers at the right. There will not be a drop coming in soon. Oh, got a set to away. Oh, I did it. Thank God I had the mature language filter on. The glitch that removes your busy status does manage to strike here at Dreamhack. We see a lot of Zealots getting morphed in, but it is quite a while until that charge is done. Those Marauders can easily kite those Zealots.
And now this army is still quite small for Mana, as the food count, as you said, 129 to 154, +1 attack, just about to finish for Bomber, and it looks like he's going to go ahead and attack with it, or he might turn around. Well, he's got his 3rd base up, so I suppose he should attack, put a little bit of pressure while getting this 3rd base up, and the 1-1 upgrades almost are going to finish for Mana. He doesn't really want to engage before they finish, though.
He's pushing that very close. Should definitely be chrono boosting those there. About 10 seconds left remaining, and the Vikings start in. Oh no, right before the 1-1 upgrades finish. No charge. The Zealots doing free. Oh, absolutely nothing. Oh, the Vikings ripping apart the Colossus. Bomber smartly pulling back, not overstimming, and now Mana desperately needs to get that charge upgrade up. He should have just waited until it was finished, and now Bomber's getting his gold.
Look at how low the Medivac count is. It's only 2. And he's really focusing very heavily on these Vikings. And looking at the unit count, 9 Vikings out now and just 1 Colossus. And this is the point where I'd be like, all right, I can't go Colossus anymore. I'd cancel the Colossus in the making and I'd switch over, just like Mana is now. Is actually going to go ahead and research Storm and tech switch here, because there's no way you can continue to keep up with this. He's got so many Vikings that any Colossus you make are going to be just completely useless in any fight.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the Storm is definitely going to be the key that helps him pull in, but man, look at Bomber having an answer to everything, already producing 2 ghosts from these barracks. Mind out in the main. We do see a huge amount of structures curling around this bottom south side. Could potentially be a vulnerability later on in the game. Looks like Mana getting a good look at a gigantic army, but if Mana can force this to where they are both maxed out, he could get some key storms off and get a bit of a lead.
And Mana is very Zealot heavy here, as you can see. And the reason for that is just so many Marauders. You really do need to get Zealot, and especially the leg speed upgrade to try to combat these Marauders. Because with some good force fields, you can really change the tide of a battle, and that's what he really needs to do against Bomber here. But these Ghosts are going to make it ever so difficult. If he gets a good few EMPs off on the High Templar, on the Sentries, then it's going to be so hard to beat this, you know, well-upgraded Terran army.
Yeah, Mana really has to start spreading those Templar out. He has them all on control. Group 3, he's starting to advance forward. Is the Mobius Reactor out? He does have enough energy, and there's a Storm going down. The Ghosts are going to begin advancing forward. All the Templar stacked on top of one another, and oh, he gets every single one!
What sick EMPs! And now Bomber's just going to go and roll over this army, microing so well, but oh my god, Sean, those EMPs.
Bomber absolutely outclassing Mana. Oh!
What?
Bomber left the game! Oh no!
What? Is he trolling Idra?
Now, this is a very weird situation. We are definitely going to have to find out what happened. Now, as many of you know, at MLG Columbus, Idra left a game that he thought he'd lost when in fact he had a clear advantage.
Bomber
But
disconnected too.
in this game, it looks like Bomber actually lost connection. Now, it's going to be up to the official rulings. It changes from tournament to tournament. What happens in a circumstance like that? Mana definitely at a disadvantage, but perhaps not necessarily out of the game. We will be taking a look back at that replay to see what the status was at the very end.
I think it was a clear win for Bomber. In my opinion, if I was the ref, then I'd be a clear win. The EMPs
tough,
were just
so good.
sick.
I mean, if those EMPs didn't go off, then maybe there would have been a potential chance for Mana to come back in. But, you know, I don't really think that there's that much that Mana could have done. We're doing a little bit of a reload. We see the start of the game. Let's go ahead and just wait for a moment before we end up jumping into that match. I'm going to go to the end, but I mean, Storms are one of those spells that can really switch the tide of battle. You can do so much damage with a single one. The only way to really battle that is if you have excellent, excellent control, which is exactly what Bomber is known for. So we're going to, once again, get an official ruling. It looks like, the Apollo, you are talking to the refs there, but I will say, Bomber is so impressive no matter what he does. It's kind of funny because Bomber isn't doing anything special in terms of what units he's building. Yeah. A lot of times, especially when people are new to a game, whenever they have a question, how do I stop blank? The answer is, maybe I should build more of whatever. Oh, maybe I should have gone battle cruisers, or maybe I should have done something crazy like that. But we're seeing Bomber build the same units as everyone else, Marines and Marauders, Medevacs, right at the start, but hitting these timings, dropping them up on the high ground, just really, really kick-ass Terran.
Kick-ass Terran, that describes him quite well. But, I mean, hitting a timing like that, you know your opponent's going for Colossus, and you know what time that's going to happen just by simply rewatching replays, by speaking with other teammates within that. And we're actually getting close to the end now, so if you want to have a look at that.
If we could just jump directly into the game, we can take a look at what the status of the matchup was at the very, very end. Here we see the battle where these Archons just took, the High Templar just took huge EMP damage and were morphed into Archons. We see the Colossi getting taken down in the unit counting station. We are about to see all of these Zealots evaporate. I will even turn off all the sounds, not just so we can hear a little or see a little more clearly what's going on, but also because that is the style of the Day 9 Daily. This is right at the moment when we saw the Bomber end up leaving the game.
So, I mean, if you just look at the supply count, it's...
If we could actually switch the video stream, Eric, could switch the video screen to the game over here right now, like, yeah. I thought we could take a look at it. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, we're in now. Wait, I mean, you can look at the supply, 155 versus 97. Mana does have the gold up, but equally Bomber does also. But look at how many units. All those Stalkers are going to go down very easily. And
yeah, I mean
look at the
22 Marauders, 16 Marines, a Ghost. And, I mean, if we just take a poke around, there's some extra Marauders. Where's the Ghost in all this mix? So technically, no more EMPs can go down until these extra 3 Ghosts end up popping out from these barracks.
It's not a clear win, but it's heavily favored for Bomber for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where I think everyone would say it would have been nearly impossible for Mana to take the win at this point. But honestly, if we end up thinking about Dreamhack last year, I mean, Mana won 2 almost impossible games against Nama to push it to a Game 5. So it's a really tough call. I mean, a lot of times people would say, well, Mana should really go up to Bomber and say, you know what, you deserve the win. And a lot of people would say, well, Bomber should really go to Mana and say, well, I didn't have a guaranteed, secured spot. So it's definitely going to be a little bit of contention at the very least.
Well, the referee has said that they were initially just going to go ahead and do the regame. And I said, we're just actually looking at it. And he said, okay, we're going to look at it too, which is probably what you want to do before you just go ahead and say regame.
What happened? Is the game not there anymore? Just play again.
And I said, all right, go ask Mana. I said that it looks like Mana was at a disadvantage, but not out of the game. What does Mana think about that? Does he agree that he had lost that? If not, then if Mana thinks that he was still in the game and rightfully has the right to kind of take a regame, I think.
Yeah, that's one thing that's always really nice about the StarCraft community is that in a lot of other tournaments, it's very common to see people just, oh, no, I won, and there's all this huge drama and debate. But these players know how extraordinarily hard a tournament situation is and that it's so essential to keep your cool. They're very experienced tournament players, so I'm sure they'll be pretty reasonable with one another, and we're going to wait for what the final outcome is. But
they're just, well, apparently, as they're saying here, they're just getting the translator for Bomber and discussing it with him. And Mana said he doesn't know. He just wants to watch the replay himself, which he's currently doing. Just going to go ahead and watch that replay.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a very, very weird situation in terms of tournament psychology because it is game 1 of a best of 3. So this can have a huge impact. If, for instance, Bomber ends up losing that game, or excuse me, look, Bomber would not get the loss for that game. But if Bomber ended up being forced to a regame position, that sometimes can mean that Mana might have the leg up and think, man, I better readjust my build a little bit. That didn't work very well.
Yeah. And well, it depends what Bomber's thinking, I suppose. If he's going to think like that, then he might not really want to do the regame. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, what's so important to note, though, is that Mana has both had experience with the Colossus tech style and with the Templar textile. Templar textile. So that does mean that he would have the option to perhaps rearrange a little bit what his strategy is going to be. Perhaps just go straight for the Forge double upgrades. We've seen players like Tyler have a huge amount of success with that before. So once again, we're going to wait a little while to see what ends up happening. What are some of the other results that we've seen throughout this tournament thus far? I do know that HeyPro is actually 2-0 in his group at this point in time.
That's pretty impressive. I mean, like we're talking about, he hasn't really, I know, birthday luck, I don't know. But he's, I mean, I don't know. He went 2-0, I think, in that other game as well. 2-1 the first game, then 2-0, which is pretty good. Saren's, I'm not sure how Saren's doing. Saren's actually come through the BYOC and is now competing within that same group as well. And do you know who the other BYOC competitor is that got
I believe it was Osho, who's a relatively unknown player. It looks like Jinro did go 2-0 against Elfie. Jinro, a huge Swedish superhero, the 2-time GSL semifinalist. Jinro, unfortunately, did lose one of his early round games. I do not know against who. Oh, it was Goody.
Yeah, he lost 1-2 versus Goody.
Goody, who's just absolutely ridiculously resilient. I mean, all the German players call Goody's tanks Panzers because they just cannot seem to ever die. And right now, Jinro is 1-1 against Prady.
Okay, I've got a result.
What's up?
Got the official decision from the admins, and Mana, and they all spoke together, they discussed it, and they all agreed that Bomber had won that game, and he was at a, advantage, and Bomber is going to take that game 1, and now we're getting invited to the second game. Cleared up nice and smooth by both players, very well mannered, and we're going straight into the second game. Bomber at the 1-0 advantage now, going into the game on Terminus C.
Yeah, I mean, I do think, though, that this is almost a good break for Mana, because he, again, just got done with an hour and 20-minute best of 3 against Exlord, then had to play that game. So probably did get a little bit of relaxation going on.
All right, so we're just getting both players into the game now. And, I mean, Bomber, I think he's going to be feeling pretty happy about that. Doesn't really want to play another game. And the same for Mana. You don't really, because there's so many games that you have to play. I mean, like, we were casting for so long yesterday, and the players equally playing for so long. And so you don't really want to play unnecessarily games if you know that you were behind, unless it was arguably winnable from both players' perspectives.
I mean, right now it's almost close to 1 p.m., which technically is the starting time of White Raw versus Prady. So it's really going to show that these players are going to start to get behind on schedule, going to have to begin playing these matches closer and closer and closer together.
Okay, actually, the decision was changed. Bomber actually went around to the admin and said, I don't want the win, I want a regame. So he said he didn't feel good to take the win versus Mana.
Wow.
And he just says, Mana's messaging me now. He says, it was Bomber's decision. He doesn't want to take that win off me because it wasn't 100%. He wants to regame and said, good luck.
Wow, what a class act. Bomber getting some fans here showing, no, that's no big deal. I'll just play him again and probably win. Bomber is an extremely strong player. I mean, that's not only showing that he's a well-mannered player, but also showing that he has a lot of confidence in his gameplay. And also it means that we are officially restarting the best of 3 between Star Tails, Bomber, and Mana. Going to be an excellent, excellent match.
That is pretty Mana, man. I'd love that if I was in the tournament. He did that to me, and I was losing.
Definite.
That's awesome.
Definite. Nice little relief. And you know what? I mean, Bomber is the sort of player who would have the fortitude to be comfortable with a potential loss in this situation, especially if it's a 1-2. A lot of people would look back, I should have taken that win, but not Bomber. Met him this morning. He was a genuine guy, and I believe in him.
He's such a nice guy, too. He was really kind and everything. He's like such a sweetheart, man. All right, this game, and this is really good for Mana. He can, like, reset now. He's had a few minutes break, I suppose you could call it, discussing this, and now can reset his mindset and go into this fresh game on Cell Nog Caverns once again.
He's gotten a little bit of research done, and it is time for game 1, attempt number 2 between Mana and Bomber. In the bottom left corner, we have the man that was originally down 0-1 and came back from the dead, kind of in a literal way, to be back to 0-0. Mouse Sports Mana! And in the top right, it looks like my alt key is busted. Oh no, this is not going to be good. There we go, it's fixed. Yes, in the top right, the man who was manner enough to just take the regame. It is Star Tails Bomber. My poor keyboard, I am just guzzling this honey tea as fast as I can, but in my excitement last game, I just swatted it right into the keyboard.
I know, I tried not to laugh when I saw that and try to keep the flow going.
I was mopping it up with my shirt, so even though it's blue on top, I have this giant brown waist. It looks like Bomber is going to be building that supply depot behind his command center. And I'm curious what your opinion is. If you did end up having to play someone twice in a row on the same map, what is your thought about repeat strategy?
Well, it depends on where you came from in the first game. In Bomber's perspective, you wouldn't change a thing because you were obviously winning. You had a clear advantage, and your style was perfect. You didn't do anything wrong. And I do the same, but he's actually not going to do that. And for Mana, it has the opportunity to change up now. He realized that the build might not have gone in his favor. He could have been a little bit more greedy, gone for a 1-gate expo instead of that 3. Because he really built 3 gateways but didn't pressure enough with them, or didn't really warrant their build. So he can go ahead and change his build, but we're actually going to see Bomber be the one to change up his build. And I guess if you think about the mindset of it, and be like, oh, actually, this probe doing a lot of damage. If you think the mindset of it, Bomber could be like, okay, you know what I was going to do. You're going to probably try to react to it now. and can just go up and play a little bit safer rather than going for that risky 1 Rax Expo.
So it looks like Mana is leaving that first probe in the main. There's the reactor going down on the barracks, and the Marine does manage to spot the probe. Probe just going to beeline it.
Oh, is he going to get the vision?
Now end up seeing that there. He is ending up dying. Not a big deal. Did manage to see that second barracks, so he's in good shape. There's a cybernetics core going down for Mana. Same standard assimilator.
And obviously we're skipping the Zealot once again, and the second gas has been made, and Stalker, will it be chrono boosted out? There's the 25 energy. Yes, it will be chrono boosted out to help get rid of this scouting SCV, so Mana can go ahead and continue with his chosen build. And at the same time, we have a tech lab and a reactor. 2, well, double Marines being made now. And if we look over at the gas of Bomber, it's building up now. Will he go straight into Stim and actually kind of lower his unit count now? We're at 85, and he does not. He goes for the Marauder and the Shell upgrade. So we might see a little bit of early pressure coming out from Bomber here.
I mean, the 2 racks opening, this has been one of the standard staples of TVP style. You get a big amount of Marines and Marauders. You can do some pressure, but most importantly, you can secure your expansion. And I honestly think Mana is going to be much happier going for his 3-gate opening. Mana has a lot of comfort with this style. It's very versatile, and it can rip apart a 2 racks opening. And man, if Mana managed to get a second chance and win this game number 1, what a second start he would get.
And we have a probe in the mineral line of, well, in the natural mineral line of Bomber, which can go ahead and scout any time from now and get the confirmation of what Bomber is doing. But little does Mana know that the army is already marching down here, and he's going to have some key force fields here if he wants to hold this off. And does he see it? Yeah, he does see it incoming, and the probe is going to get that confirmation. These force fields are going to need to be key.
There's a couple of players who always plant perfect force fields, players like Kiwi Kaki, and also players like Mana. And oh, Bomber, he's not going to try to go up that ramp at all. He's going to contain. This could be a huge, huge win, but oh, a proxy pylon from Mana.
That's so smart. And as long as Bomber doesn't go up, that's going to be really good for him. He's having to warp in a couple more units to deal with this pressure. Doesn't really want to lose that pylon there. But that proxy pylon, he's going to be able to warp in units. And look, we have a sentry being warped in at the mineral line, on natural mineral line of Bomber here.
Wow, Bomber doing some good preparation. He's making a lot of bunkers, though. This might seem like a very smart defensive play. This might seem like a smart offensive play, but for every structure Bomber throws down, he delays his own expo by that much more. Mana is going to have razor-sharp focus. Can he both force field to defend and pressure at the same time? He is spending his chrono boost on the warp gates. Oh!
Oh, wow. He's adding on 2 more gateways and actually could kill Bomber. There is a bunker there that's going to help a lot, but he's warping in a bunch more Zealots. And as long as he has complete control of his ramp with these double sentries, he can lose. Oh my god! Bomber actually scouted it!
Oh, Bomber's going to need to do a total retreat very, very soon. He might try to dart up. Mana is going to try to go for it. Should just pull back, wait for another round. He's waiting for those extra units. There is the Guardian Shield. The Zealots now springing forth, but we see a ton of Marauders. He's target firing the bunker. Will he be able to take it down? It's in the orange health. It's getting increasingly lower, but no, Bomber looks like he will hold and defend his main.
Nice, and he's going to be able to clean up these Stalkers. If that Marauder gets a hit on it, oh, the Stalkers do escape. I definitely wouldn't try to stay there for too long. Don't want to get hit by Marauder.
Oh, no, he's going to be losing a lot of these units, but Zealots getting warped in from behind. Mana's going to need to start desperately morphing in some sentries if he wants to be able to pincer these off, but it looks like the Zealots will be the units to escape safely. And now Mana is in an atrocious position. Bomber with the narrow defense, anticipating a proxy pylon.
And this didn't change Bomber's build at all. He was going to build the command center on the lower ground, but then built it on the top and continue with his build. Still only has these 2 Rariks, now adding on a 3rd one. But this contain is pretty strong here, and Stim is about to finish too. I actually don't know how he can do this and how he can break it.
There's another Guardian Shield going down. The Zealot count is quite high. The bunker is going to fall fairly quickly. But with all these units swinging down, Bomber may very well overrun this push. Mana is on the defensive. No Stim at all yet. Just huge numbers of Marines and Marauders. And Mana.
Stim.
Oh, the Stim. The Zealot's going to do no damage at all. And Bomber looks like he's gonna win a fast game number 1, attempt 2.
And he's just going to leave now. He's done so much damage. There's no expansion at all for Mana, and well, I don't even know when he can go for it. He's having to go back into pro production now, and now this expansion is up for Bomber, and he can safely just continue with his plan. He can throw down a couple of bunkers, as you can see, getting the engineering bay, the combat shield, and there's no reason for him to go and pressure Mana anymore. He's just going to go for a nice +1 timing attack and just completely overwhelm Mana in a couple of minutes' time.
So it looks like Mana gonna try to take his expansion. Mana is the type of player to not give up, to be more than comfortable, to revert back to a straight-up game, but he is going to be very weak. We saw Bomber able to close off happy with a lead. Bomber looks like he is establishing a good setup to do the same in this match against Mana. +1 on the engineering bay, 4th barracks down right now. Looks like once that combat shield finishes, Bomber may very well just push in for a fast kill.
Yeah, he's not even getting the factory. He's not adding on any gases. He's just going to build a lot of units and literally go and attack. Probably when the +1 does finish now, as he started upgrading that. And I just don't know how Mana can hold it, especially because he's going for a robotics facility now, trying to tech up, trying to get that key Colossus out. And Immortal might be a better choice if he can get some more sentries out, but he's so limited on his gas because this expansion is so late. He's going to need to get an assimilator ASAP down on this expansion, but I think this push that's going to come, and even a Ghost Academy being added now, with a Ghost in this mix, I don't know how he's going to fight against that. It's going to be very, very difficult.
And I mean, Bomber just having an answer at every stage. I loved this one single bunker, anticipating some possibility of a counterattack. Bomber now having a lot of units, taking control of that right Xel'Naga watchtower, and the important thing is that Mana suddenly is going to feel a ton of pressure to cut probes, to make more units. We see no probes in production quite yet. Supply blocked, very uncharacteristic of Mana. And Bomber using this opportunity to just kill off the destructible rocks.
And double forge, oh my god, I would definitely not be going for a double forge right now if I was Mana.
Wow.
That is a lot of money, and when you upgrade 1-1, you're just not going to have any units. And it looks like he could be in a lot of trouble here. Though he needs to do something to kind of cut the corner to try to get back into that game, but I don't know if this is the one, because this timing attack, which looks like it's going to be coming down now as +1 finishes, could very well kick Mana out of this game on Xel'Naga Caverns.
Oh, 2 ghosts in the mixture. This is going to be a key push by Bomber. Oh, Mana has a couple of probes on patrol, ready to spot. There's another observer there, but this is so many Marines and Marauders. The single probe falls, the ghosts are getting in position, and Mana does not have that many units.
3 Stalkers do get warped in. He doesn't have any resources. He's supply capped as well.
Oh, not the best EMPs. Mana getting some nice force fields, but there are so many units from Bomber. They slip around the edges, annihilate the force. The good game, well played from Mana. Extremely mannered, not feeling too much in a fret. I mean, if there's one player you're going to expect to lose to in your group, it would be StarTale's Bomber. Well, that means that we are not going to be moving on to the next series. We will be going to Game 2 between StarTale's Bomber and Mouse Sports Mana.